Everyone agrees that listing price does affect your days on market, of course, right? And this is why do see different pricing strategies, and we'll talk a little bit about those strategies. Ultimately, there's price it low, auction style, and bid it up. Price it high and negotiate down, or price it at market. Right? Those are pretty much your options when it comes to pricing. Now, here's the funny thing about market time. What people think happens, right? What do most sellers think? Most sellers think that the market's going to catch up to my price, right? I'm going to price it. I'm going to price it here, up high, and eventually someone's going to buy it if I wait long enough. Now, the funny thing is that most of the time, the opposite is true. In just about every market, except a very, very, very fast, hot, appreciating market, that kind of market, sometimes you can price ahead of the market and the market will eventually catch you. In other words, you're not pricing for today's market. You're rolling the dice and you're making a bet that the market is going to be better, say in 60, 90, 120, 150 days, and you're actually pricing yourself for that market, right? But if you're wrong and it's a depreciating market, what are you going to do? You're actually going to chase the market down. Now, we haven't been in a chase the market down kind of market for a long time, right? So people are pretty ambitious, not really a lot of fear that that's going to happen. So that's part of the reason that people do tend to price a little bit ahead of the market. Now, in an appreciating market, you can price a little bit ahead, 2 or 3%. If your neighbor's house sold for 800 and yours is a little nicer in some ways, you maybe could afford to go to 8.25. But if you go 850 or 900, it's likely that you're going to sit and you're going to end up chasing the market versus the market coming up to where the market expects you to be. And on that same note, this is a really, really interesting chart. What this shows you is the impact of reducing your price on your final selling price. And what it shows you is that if you price it correctly and you didn't ever have to do a price reduction, you're going to sell at about 98. This is, of course, averages, right? You're going to sell at about 98.2% of your asking. Well, let's look at the next alternative. You had to adjust it 1 to 4% off asking, right? So let's say you adjusted your $500,000 house to 480, right? Look at the impact it has on where you sell. And this is what's really interesting. Of course, if you're adjusting it, pretty intuitive, you're selling at a lower percentage of your original list price. But look at this. You're actually also selling at a lower percentage of your last price. In other words, even after adjusting, you are selling at a lower percentage of that last asking price. And get this, if you adjust 5% or more, in other words, you're pretty far off the money, you're selling at about 86.5% of your original list price, 96% of your final list price. And then also look at those average days on market, how long it took, right? So pretty big impact. The point is that you have this golden opportunity. You've got this window when a listing is hot and new, and you really want to strike when the iron's hot and find that buyer in that first 30 to 45 days, sometimes sooner.